Texas Tech University is such a special place to be because of its emphasis on undergraduate research. We're the only university in the state of Texas that offers day one paid research for our undergraduate students. So from a familial perspective, it's amazing to have our freshmen engaged in the lab, in the field, in the index, depending on what their field of study is. It's a really special opportunity for deans to be able to showcase the efforts of our faculty through the eyes of our undergraduate students.
As someone that has been involved with undergraduate research at Texas Tech for over 30 years, I can't emphasize enough how important it is for young and somewhat fertile minds to actually be able to engage in research in a topic that they're interested in.
Undergraduate research really teaches them how to think like a scientist. When we teach in our classes, we're teaching them material that's already known, and we're just reinforcing basic principles. In the lab, they're encountering new discoveries. It's discovery research. So after all, we're teaching them how to think like a scientist in new situations, and that's extremely, extremely powerful.
As a mentor, I always try to give the student as much opportunity as possible, showing, to them that research could be interesting, and giving them the experience that might be also relevant to what they want to do in the future, what they're studying now. Most of my work is interdisciplinary, so I can find those little connections with different students. But it also gives the student not just the fact that they're doing research is a great line on their CV, it opens them to different perspective, to look at how does the science behave? How do we think about a question? How do we tackle a problem if we come into a problem in the lab when something is not working? How do we convey our research when we need to present it?
The Undergraduate Research Conference is intentionally supposed to be super cross-disciplinary, so there should be students represented from every college that do all different types of research. And also the URC makes a huge effort to pair judges with students and presentations that are outside of the normal field. And so generally when I go to URC and I'm a judge, I kind of assume that I'm a novice, right? So I'm supposed to be judging presentations in a field that I have no familiarity with. So in reality, the student may know more about that topic than I do, even though they're an undergraduate and I'm a faculty member.
I like to come up and introduce myself first. I, again, like to ask about what they're excited about. I like to ask, hey, tell me about your research, and try to pick up on the things that they're really excited about, especially at a conference like our undergraduate research conference. Many of these students are presenting for the first time. So I try to keep that in mind. And this is an opportunity and a responsibility that we can either encourage them to get out and stop doing science, or we can give that constructive feedback and encourage them to keep it up.
I think about judging an undergraduate research conference in the same way that I think of our colleagues in the plant and animal sciences who take a young shoot or a young animal, and their job is to foster that living thing into the next best state of its existence. Undergraduate research allows us to take these students, many of whom are experiencing research for the first time, which is such a gift, and to be able to foster that into flame. And that's a flame that can actually transcend the discipline that the student is in.
I always really like posters relative to conference presentations because they're very much more intimate conversations between two individuals centered around someone's research enterprise. And so a good poster presenter is presenting things very differently, right? They're trying to gauge who is the person I'm talking to, what level of comfort do they have with my work, and how can I best communicate to them how to appreciate this work. And so we as evaluators can try and flip that script a little bit and try to ask questions in ways that install that sort of awareness and metacognition in the students who are presenting the work to us, right? Try and express to them what our level of comfort is with the work and invite them to meet us where we are in that conversation. Or if we realize we're ahead of them, then we kind of try and meet them where they are.
If I'm doing or judging a poster presentation, what I want to do is first look at the summary, the abstract that the student has done. I don't want to act like I'm a judge at first.
Say hi, say what you do, and ask the student to explain how they got in it. Like how you got in it, that's a fun story. How did you get into this? And then what's this about? That's how I approach it, because how they get in it is the fun part, because we all have that story. We all have some story of how we got into this, and then the student can relax and tell that story, and that's probably a very enjoyable story, and then you get into the topic.
They have a level of enthusiasm, and if I don't approach it with, an equivalent level of enthusiasm, then, it sort of gives the sense that what they're doing isn't that important, that interesting. So I always try to come at the reviews with a real sense of interest, enthusiasm, and just an enjoyment for the process that they've gone through.
I listen. I try to ask cogent questions. I try to ask questions that allow them to take what they have presented in their poster and then run with it. And so let them extrapolate about what they think the next step is, or what the next project is, or why they wanted to do this. All of those are really important, because it starts to give the students a significant amount of confidence that they can, in fact, do this kind of presentation.
I think it's important to always try to get them comfortable speaking to you and be encouraging. So I will often come up and just tell someone, hey, can you tell me about your poster? Let them get talking and go through before I start asking questions. I think it can be helpful to provide some constructive criticism. And so I don't avoid that. I think that that's a good thing to do. But I guess I try to maybe do the classic constructive criticism sandwich, where first I try to find something positive to say before I might suggest doing something differently, and then following up with more encouragement about what they have done is good, and even though it may have opportunity for further improvement, they're on the right track.
It is very frequently the case that whether I'm at a conference for a national or international venue for honors, or whether I'm here at URC, that I'm going to be engaged with a project that I don't have expertise in. I love that moment of intellectual vulnerability. It's an opportunity for me to engage in this. The student gets to teach me something. So I listen to their pitch. I ask them questions about things I didn't know. If I suspect something isn't quite right, I ask them if they've considered this particular stance, this view, and then I ask if we can continue a conversation even after the project is done. I actually had one of these at this last URC, where a student was doing work on kangaroo rats in Lubbock County. Well, we have a small property that actually has kangaroo rats on it. She was so excited to learn about that, because the places where they're found in Lubbock County are actually really scarce. So it was a jewel for me. Instead of coming in and saying, I don't know that you're right about this because I have some personal experience in this matter, I was able to form a relationship with her so that we can continue that conversation, and I get to see her research actually develop beyond this conference, which is a benefit to Texas Tech. It's a benefit to me.